Hi, this is Dr. Josh Hant, and you're listening to Lifestyle Locker Radio, episode 207. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and I want to welcome you to Lifestyle Locker Radio. It is here where we talk all things lifestyle, from fitness to nutrition, peak performance to longevity, awesome relationships to inspirational stories. We take you on an amazing journey to all things life and lifestyle. Enjoy the ride. And for today's guest, if you want to learn more than they're going to tell you on this show, I urge you to scroll down, check out the show notes to get a detailed bio and everything you need to know about our guest today. We also encourage that you comment, review, and share this show if you are enjoying it from wherever and whenever you're listening. Lastly, we encourage you to check out all the links that we provide in the show notes. They are there for you, for your health, for your lifestyle. We ultimately want you to unleash your human potential. So dive into this episode. We'll see you on the inside. Wow, can you believe we've come 207 episodes? I've learned so much, one about podcasting, two about all the information we have covered. It's been an amazing journey for myself. And I know for many of you that have been along this journey with me, I want to thank you. And I'm sure you've picked up some amazing tips and possibly even changed your lifestyle. You know, our motto is unleashing your human potential and becoming human powered. I know you have been doing that throughout these years. So today we're going to talk about the race to 100. This is the second part. I know I've been promising to do this, but with COVID in the air, not really in the air, but you know what I mean. With COVID being around, my racing schedule, my adventure schedule has been put on a little bit of a hold, or really of a, like a circular pattern here, not knowing what's going to happen next. Coming from New York, where we have some major restrictions on doing certain things and traveling, I want to make sure that I could go before I really release a show. So that looks like I'm a few days away. And it looks like based on the statistics that are out there, the positive cases, not necessarily people that are sick, but people that have possibly tested positive, is it a certain percentage rate that leaves me over the course of a week, lets me go to my race 100. This is the Yeti. I'm going to the Yeti 100, which is in Virginia. It's a very famous race in the ultra circuit, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. They've had to make so many changes and precautions and all sorts of stuff because of COVID, so they can actually keep this event going on. Though I am not a fan of a lot of the things that we have to do, I'm along for the ride. I'm here to make myself better and inspire others to do the same. So I can be a little bit flexible with things that they have to do so they can keep their business in play as they should. Small businesses across the country have been, and the world, have been disappearing fast. They've been vaporizing, right? Restaurants in Manhattan and New York City, even in the suburbs where I live now, outside of the city, businesses are shutting down. So we need to make sure that we are complying a little bit with them so we can actually keep these small businesses open, because this is the American dream, right? We have small businesses. You get to listen to this freedom of speech, if you will, with me babbling on about life and lifestyle over the course of many years at this point, 200 plus episodes. So let's keep moving forward. So let's jump into this race. I want to share a little bit of some of the details about the race. I got my last email, today. The recording day is Sunday. I'm doing this on purpose on Sunday, not before. My email I got yesterday said something really interesting. And, I'm browsing through with my wife. I actually had dinner for the Jewish holidays at my parents' house. And going through this form, we printed everything up, and it says, it says something to the fact of this, that there are the first 14 miles. You heard it right. 14 miles are a 3% grade uphill. They said it could be very, very deceiving, but your legs will let you know once you get to mile 28 that you've been pushing maybe a little bit too hard on those uphills. So being able to pace yourself. But me thinking, 14, I'm thinking I run these steep vertical inclines, thousands vertical feet, like in a shot. And like, wow, this is like 14 miles of this slow grind. So it gets me a little nervous and excited at the same time. I have been training. For those that follow me on Strava or online on social, I do share, in my Instagram stories from time to time. I do share my runs with many of you. And for those of you that are in the 3065 group, you've definitely been on this journey with me for the short period of time that the group's been around. So thank you all for participating. Hopefully it's given you some inspiration, as it's allowed me to realize that there's so much more inside of me. And I hope it does the same for you as well. So we have 14 miles uphill. We're zigging and zagging. And, I had to book. I wasn't going to book any place to stay for this event because I wasn't sure if I was even going. And I wanted to go to a place where I can get a refund. God forbid that I needed to get a refund. So I actually, myself, if my wife did this, it would have been done in January or December, whenever it was that I registered for the race. She would have, got a place. But I waited till the week before. And we're in a really cool place called Damascus. And I had a chance to talk to a gentleman down there. I called in these cottages, which are actually, everything's along the Adirondack Trail, the AT. And these little cottages are actually right at the staging ground of the start and the finish of the race. So I'm like, wow, how cool would it be if I could stay at one of these cottages? Have this conversation with the guy. He's like, no, we're totally booked. We're totally packed. And I said, oh man, I'm like, are there campgrounds close by? I'd like to stay somewhere pretty close. He goes, you're more than welcome to put up a tent on our property. The only problem is there's no running water or electricity for you. And I'm like, you don't have an outdoor shower? He's like, well, we got a hose. And based on the temperatures that we're having here in New York, and I just looked at Damascus, Virginia, the nights are going to be cool. It'll be in the 40s. So showering after my 24-hour race with a hose ain't going to happen. So luckily, this town seems like such a cool town. This guy that ran these cottages said, I run the aid station right here in town. And, checked out this bed and breakfast. It opened today. So you might be able to get a chance to actually get a room for the weekend. And I lucked out that he pointed me in the right direction first. And I got a place to stay. So very cool. But nonetheless, so this whole thing is coming to play here at the end. And I'm a little nervous, 100 miles. And for those of you that followed me in that first race to 100, where we did quite a bit of episodes, having a crew, my crew really essentially was my wife ran everything. So she was a crew captain. We did have her on the show after the race to talk about her experience and dealing with someone like me who can be a little bit of annoying, can be a little maybe short with certain things. But I'm surprised she didn't really say that about me during the event, I guess because I was in my element. But having that crew, having like my in-laws were there, my mother-in-law was there with her boyfriend. One of my buddies showed up. My nephew showed up, and my sister and brother-in-law showed up for a little bit. I got to see them a couple times, like for minutes, literally. But that was very inspiring to me to watch, me coming across, not the finish line, but coming across the little staging area where I have to cross this little electric mat so it reads my chip in my shoe or my number, watching my little nephew running across the field trying to chase me down. It was so cool. This event's going to be such a different type of event for me, that I'm driving down solo. I'm packing. We have, you're allowed to have crew. I have nobody going to crew for me. I have myself. I have my gear and everything that's being prepped for the event. And I have a couple of what we call drop bags. Mine are like these plastic tubs that are watertight, just in case it rains. Hopefully it doesn't knock on wood here. Knocking on wood that it doesn't rain. I have like snacks. I have jackets. I have little, we call like, I don't say a fleece, but this really warm, thin, lightweight jackets, because what's going to happen, this event, my goal, and I'm going to say this, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, my goal for this event is I want to do a sub 24 hour 100-mile race. I want to complete a sub 24 hour race, and completing is the first goal, but I really want to get that sub 24. One, because it's such a great time for someone like myself. I'm not a professional runner, but I put in the work, I put in the energy, I put in the time, I put in the effort to actually get there. So I really want to get that. The second reason I want to get that, This race is called the Yeti 100 endurance race. And the cool thing is, if you get sub 24 hours, even if it's 23 hours and 59 minutes, right? That's where I want to do. 23:59 is the latest I want to get across that finish line. I get an awesome belt buckle, this like cowboy style belt buckle with a Yeti on it. It's hand painted. It's really, really badass. I want to get one. I missed the 100 on my last 100. I finished 52.4 injured. As many of you know, breaking toes and spraining my left lateral collateral ligament along the way. So it was not pleasant running 2.5 miles with broken bones and a sprained knee. That being said, we're going into this event injury free, going into this event focused on finishing, focused on being with myself for this whole time. And I'm going to be with a crew. And the guy on the phone that I spoke to down in Damascus he said, listen, he goes, you're never going to be alone at this race. It's great. So that's a little bit of inspiration for myself, that I will be around other people. But when you do these long distance runs, you get quiet from time to time, and you really get to reflect on this. But here's a scary part for those. We talk about mindset and lifestyle locker. We've talked about meditation. We've talked about nutrition. We've talked about lots of things. But when it comes to mindset, mental toughness on these types of events is so, so important. Because what's going to happen for those of you that have done anything of distance, when I mean anything more than a half marathon or even a marathon plus, you know that your mind will have this conversation with you saying, why are you running? Why are you doing this? So these why questions really come into play. They really start to dive into your mind, and this become like this little weasel, this little thing that starts to go in and snake around your head. And you really start to question why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to be strong enough, which is very, very, very challenging for me, and I'm sure for every single person that does these events. It's easy to quit. Quitting is easy. It's easy to go, you know what? I'm just tired. I don't want to do this. And that happened on my last event, as well as the 100 that I failed, that I got a 52.4, which they did put me in the 50-mile category. Thank you guys very much for that. But there are people that drop out because of their mental capacity, not because they physically can't do the race, not that they weren't trained for it, but their brain was not trained enough and been stressed enough in this way to say, why are you doing this? And you're saying to your brain, hey, listen, I'm doing this. I've set it out. These are my reasons why I'm doing it. And you're not going to stop me. So being able to go from that pain, that discomfort that happens and shows up during these events, and anybody that's done any of these ultra events that says it's not uncomfortable is lying, because they are uncomfortable. But that's where the growth comes from, and comes from discomfort. And anybody you listen to, I spent a lot of time during this lockdown, during this COVID-19 pandemic, whatever you want to call it. I spent a lot of time reading and listening to audiobooks, and some of my favorite books started to turn towards the Navy SEALs. And I may have shared this with some of you last year during my event. You've seen like some of the posters that my wife made for me, which were so cool. They were so cool. They're all David Goggins quotes. And for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about, you're gonna have to Google David Goggins, and I highly recommend. I make nothing off of this. I have zero financial ties to this, but get the audiobook. Don't get the paper book. Get the audiobook. Can't Hurt Me. And his story is mind blowing. It's inspiring, and it's really worth listening. And you can watch him on like short clips on Instagram. He posts, I think, maybe once a week or something like that. But nonetheless, I listened to his story of his life, but then we talk about Navy SEALs and ultra running and all these different things. But when they start to go through in the SEALs, all the books I've listened to, when they're talking about what they go through in something called Hell Week in BUDS, which is basic underwater demolition or something like that, whatever it is, BUDS training. They know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. They need to know what it is. It is so inspiring to me that these men can be put through such hell, mental hell, physical hell. It brings them right to the brink, this breaking points through a full week where these guys are getting a few hours of sleep over the course of a week total, something like they're up for 96 hours or something like that, and or more, 120 something hours, but they're only allowed like 3 or 4 hours of sleep over the course of those days. And listening to these guys go through these stories, and they become like the most elite warriors to defend our freedoms in this country. But more than that, well, that's important. That's very, very important. I want to say more than that. But for me, what I'm getting out of this is holy cow, if these guys, these men can go through this training and make it through, they can make it through. I think it's a 10% pass rate to get into the SEALs. It's not a very high percentage that make it through. Even some elite athletes go through it and everything. These men that make it through, they get their trident, which proves that they're a Navy SEAL. They get through all of their training. If they can make it through this week, and let alone the 9 months of training that they have to do, and be alive to talk about it, I have no excuse mentally that I can't push myself beyond where my discomfort zone is. You can do the same thing. If you're shooting for that 5K, 10K, 15K, half marathon, whatever it is, I know you can do it. We all can. It just is, you have to want to do it. It would be the first thing, have a desire to do something that's like this. But there are many different ways to become uncomfortable to gain growth. And, I think one of the sayings that David Goggins talks about in his book, I believe it's a 40% rule, that when you're pushing and you're ready to tap out, you're like, all right, I'm done. Like my run is done, or my biking is done, or whatever it is. You're hitting that 40% mark. You got a lot more in you to go. You can push yourself beyond. You don't need to get to that 100% mark. I don't know if many people ever do, but you can get beyond that 40 pretty far. And for me, breaking that discomfort zone, getting through that discomfort zone, I finally tapped out because the pain was so severe and I don't want to create permanent injury in my knee. That last 100, I was able to push through without creating new injuries, thank God, through 22 and a half miles or 22.4 miles, I believe it was, after my injury or injuries, and pushed through 22 and a half miles. If you had me do that years ago, the minute I injured my knee, I'd been like, all right, I'm out. Forget about it. I just tweaked it. I can be done. No way. There's so much growth, so much resilience that comes into everything that we do and the discomforts that we have in our lives. If you talk to entrepreneurs, if you talk to athletes, if you talk to pretty much anybody that's, wow, like you're thinking, wow, that person has done pretty well for themselves in life. I don't mean just financially. That's not the point, but like they're a happy person. They're able to do really cool things. They're healthy. They're fit, whatever it may be. They've been through some struggles. You don't get to see it through the surface. You get to see their results, their wins, but you don't even get to see what they did to get where they are. You didn't see the practice, the training, the dedication, and all of the things that they needed to do to get there. So I'm sharing this with you because as I go through this race to 100, as I go to this 100-mile event, I got to drive 9 hours, be with myself, think about, holy cow, like those fears are probably going to pop into my head. It's very easy for me to get in my car and not go. Right? How easy would that be? My legs wouldn't get tired. I wouldn't be sore. My wife said to me, she looked at me, I came out of the bedroom today, I had no shirt on, and she goes, "You're freaking skinny." I go, "I've run ultra marathons. I've done like 3 or 4 in the past year. What do you expect?" She goes, "You're going to come back like at 120 pounds or something like that." And I'm, for those that don't know me personally, I'm 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", depending on the day of the week or who measures me. But I'm about 177, 75, 77 pounds now. And I am eating like a mother to load in a lot of healthy calories and fuel for my race to come this week. But I'm still really a thin guy. I've become, which I've said in the past, I've become one of them. I've become a runner. Because those that know me, I've been in CrossFit. I love lifting weights. I love I love looking good in a shirt. And I love feeling good about how I look all the time. And granted, I don't mind being a skinny guy. It's a lot less weight to move around. But there is that sensation, that really cool thing. Many guys will understand maybe where I come from. I'm a visual person, but I like to be able to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, look, I look good, fit. The shirt's nice and snug and fit and tight. That doesn't happen as frequently now. So I'm really gonna get back into it. Being that gyms have been closed for 9 months, I don't have all of the gear and all the things I used to use on a daily basis to work out. So I've become one of them, and I'm happy to be a runner now. I've come to peace with being who I am and doing what I'm good at doing, or at least decent at doing, I should say. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the suffering at this point. I know it sounds crazy, but coming across, even when I'm doing my 10, 15, 20, 26-mile runs, finishing, I say finish line. There's no finish line with this. This is me just going, looking at my Garmin and going, yep, I hit my 10 mile. That was freaking awesome. I'm pumped. I feel really good. I probably could run more. But it's doing the stuff that's hard that makes me feel good. And I let this translate now into other areas of my life and how I train for certain things, whether it's being a chiropractor, whether it's communicating to all of you, whether it's working hard on my relationship with my wife. I tend to be a pain in the ass and a little, I have some challenges there, which I'm always working through. That's probably the hardest thing for me to be good at in my life. I love my wife, but being a husband is not always the easiest thing for me. And I do my best, and I'm going to continue to work on it because I want to be better. And sometimes I've been through some pretty crappy areas in that relationship. So I know what it's like to be not in a great place, and I don't like it. So I'm going to push hard so I don't have to be there. Bend a little bit, become a little flexible, right? So for all of you that are following the Race to 100, I'm going to focus. I'm going to do my best. The race is a Friday to Saturday. I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to have all my equipment with me to record an episode post the race, so we can hopefully possibly get it up Monday or Tuesday that week. I may not publish a full episode Monday, but I'm going to hopefully publish one by Tuesday for you, because I want you to hear the experience, the journey that I put myself through. And if I can do any recording during the event, I will definitely give you some insights during the event to my experience, running this long distance race. So I appreciate you all. Make sure you all go check out that 3065 program. Links are in the show notes. Just got to scroll down and check that out. If you're watching this on a video, same idea. Just check the details below. It will be there. And if you can't find it, just go to lifestylelocker.com and you'll find the latest episodes of the podcast there as well. So I appreciate you all. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you push yourself a little harder, get a little uncomfortable, and grow, and make the end of 2020 the best year ever. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.